This is Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast.
Did you guys see this? This is unbelievable. What is that all about, Kinger?
Get in here for the real thing. Like, let's get weird.
Maybe I blacked out trying to figure out what was going on.
Doubt, worry, fear, because that's what we're breaking the mold on here.
Welcome to Wild on 7th, presented by Pilot Games. We're here until it's here.
Hot new intro.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, we paid extra for that.
Who does the voiceover there?
I think that's what would they call talent? Yeah. Do you want that job? Is that where you're going at?
The very last line.
Yeah, his name is Chad. He's in my phone as bourbon-encrusted larynx. I think that's what he sounds like.
Are you lobbying for that job? Before
I don't have
introduce him, he inserts himself into the show. Our guest today is radio play-by-play Joe O'Donnell. Boy, did you hear something you liked?
No, I'm not a voiceover guy, which
he heard an opportunity.
Face for radio, not a good radio voice, but yet here I am.
Is that why you're going with the beard, trying to hide the face that you have for radio?
It's just a couple of days. Just a thing for a couple of days. By October the 12th, it'll be gone.
Was it tryout season in Edina too?
It upsets Tom Reed.
Does it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Needs to be clean cut.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it just upsets him. I feel like he's
my
growing
dad.
A beard. Growing a beard again. Doesn't matter the week, the month. I love that guy.
It's stubble that they hate. I had stubble at an Easter holiday once, and my dad said, to people of a certain generation, when you come into the holiday with a face like that, it's like giving us the middle finger.
Well, I don't intend that at all. Sorry, Tom.
Well, don't you think there like you get to an age too where you just find things that annoy you and you just no longer care to like filter it?
Yeah.
That's how like older people are.
Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't say it annoys him, but he brings it up.
He brings it up.
Yeah.
Like, lost your razor.
The second he sees me, he just growing a beard.
And I'm sorry to pile on, but your appearance has been taking a beating as of late.
Whoa.
Okay.
We had
off to a good start.
We did our first puck preview live
in the
before
arena.
the last exhibition game, and it was on Twitter, and my Twitter mentions or whatever it is started blowing up
so
because
I
of
wasn't
our hair.
Sure, yeah, I wasn't sure. One guy was like, speaking about our quaffs, one was like somebody.
I didn't know.
Yeah, somebody was like, one's normal and one's brutal. And I didn't know. I was going to be like, so whose is it?
Yeah, exactly.
My hair okay and Cart's mullet is atrocious, or is it vice versa?
And then they did something about Mary, when the hair is standing up in front. Yeah. And then I didn't know, too, if they were talking about, because I have the what is it called, like a cowslick or something in the back there, colic?
Calic.
Yeah. I don't know how you pronounce it.
Well, I've got a bunch of them, so.
Yeah.
Yours is more of like a rooster situation, right?
Brad Bombardier once told me that my hair is like a snowflake. Every single day it's different.
It's strong.
It's the same but different?
Yeah, just depends on the second, I guess.
Well, if you don't recognize the voice, it's like I said, it's Joe O'Donnell, play-by-play. You cut your teeth in the American League. Run us through your professional path and how you ended up in the seat next to TR.
So the condensed version would be out of the University of Delaware. I got my first job interning for the Reading Royals in the ECHL in like 2003, just working home games. Then I got a full-time job in Boise of the ECHL with the Idaho Steelheads. I got there in March of 2005, finished the season, did 3 years, went to Houston in the American League, which was Minnesota's farm team. I was there from the 2008-09 season until the team moved to Des Moines, and I was there like 8 years. So I joined the Wild organization in 2008 at the minor league level, but I've been calling games for, I guess it's probably like 20 years on the button now, roughly. Not quite. Almost 20.
So it was 18 years before you made it to the big time.
Yeah, something like that. 2005, March of 2005, I was like a full-time radio broadcaster at the AA level. And then last year was my first full season doing every game. So I don't know how many years that is.
Are you just a huge hockey fan, or like what were you like in college, and how did you play Sega and do the play-by-play, or like how did you know this was a thing or passion for you?
Well, I knew I wasn't any good at playing, Kinger, so that was one.
Well, join me.
I loved watching SportsCenter back in the day, like the old school Dan and Keith and, those days. So then I don't know, I knew I wanted to get into broadcasting, or at least I thought I did when I went to school, the University of Delaware. And so, like, one of the first days I went to that freshman orientation that every school has, and I found the radio station table or desk, whatever it was, and I was like, I want to call hockey games. And they legit were like, show up Friday night. So I rode my bike to the rink Friday night, the University of Delaware, club hockey, ACHA.
Shout out to Huffy.
And I just, probably was. No, it's a mongoose, I think.
Mongoose?
California
It took me a
Lights.
second to get where you're going. I'm like, who's Huffy? Does he know Huffy? He's not saying Matt Hussey, is he?
Yeah.
Shout out Matt Hussey.
Producer.
Anyway, I was like, so I watched a few games. I took the radio station test. I started jumping on the air at the University of Delaware, and was a great experience for me. And at that point, I was like, I want to call hockey games. That's it. And kind of stuck it out. Had a lot of support along the way, obviously, and thankful for the Wild organization to give me a shot.
I've got one question. When did you know that you made it? Like when you walk. So if we're looking at
Now, right now on this podcast?
when you got
That's
invited.
usually a sign.
Where I'm going with this is you go from bus rides and Howard Johnsons and cockroaches to Ritz-Carltons. When did you sit around? You had to have had a moment where you're like, I've done it. I made it. Is it in like a comfy Ritz bed in the middle of Montreal? Is it when you took that first sip of Fiji water that you stole on one of the airplanes?
The bidet in Montreal.
All of those things are definitely moments. I don't know that there's like one, sorry, Carts, but I will say that like it's current, if that makes sense. Like I don't feel
still
like
living
I'm
it?
here. Yeah, like I love it. Like you said, there were
You're
a
on
lot
your
of
entry level deal right
yes. Yes, that's a great way to point it. To put it, yeah. Yeah, there's not really like a. I don't think there's like I will pinch myself at times, in Toronto, in Montreal. Calling games in Philly where I grew up, whatever, Madison Square Garden, XL's rocking, the team wins in overtime, and I'm like, man, I love my job, and this is what I wanted. But I don't think there's a point where I'm like, I've absolutely made it, because I still am loving every single aspect of it, because it's still somewhat new. The travel's outstanding. As you said, you go from, you said Howard Johnson, so I was thinking more like Courtyard Marriott's, but I'm still looking for
Maybe
the
Howard
courtyard.
Johnson was junior.
Still looking for the courtyards and the Marriotts we stay in.
Not so many.
Continental breakfast.
Yeah, so it's been awesome. I'm very grateful, and as I said a couple times, just love what I do.
I can't remember if I've talked about this on the podcast or not, but it's pretty amazing. We walk onto the airplane, and it's the same where, like, the front half of the plane would be first class, and we enter the plane right behind what would be first class.
So players turn left and you turn right?
No, management and coaches, everybody turns left, and nobody ever goes up there unless you're management or a coach.
Okay.
You turn right, and then it's all players until you get to the back of the plane. It's like the third, like past the wings, like all the way in the back, and there's like dividers. So we walk on the plane, there's players, there's Louis Vuitton bags, there's fancy suits, there's Fiji water, there's sushi appetizers, and then you get to the back of the plane, and it's Delta water, maybe room temp.
Those little sunchip bags that
Yes.
are like, you could wear them as earrings.
Yeah, you get like celery, a carrot stick, and a napkin.
What about a drive-by?
And the only time the players walk past you guys is to use the bathroom. So you basically just get crop dusted by them the whole time.
Oh, no. That's bad. Could you do a walk-by sushi grab? Like, what's the protocol if you're getting on? There's no players yet. Just a little like napkin.
Great question, by the way.
Napkin in hand, couple sushi. They're not going to know it was you, and then just set your tray table up. Have a little better experience back there.
It's bold because I don't think what you're going to catch heat from is that middle section. Nobody's going to be like, hey, that's our sushi. Where you're going to catch heat is when you get back to the back of the plane with all the other broadcasters and everybody else, and then they're going to
helping yourself
yeah.
cards.
Yeah, you get an extension. You got a new one-way deal. Or?
I have gone up front before, but I usually come back with like cheese and crackers.
Yeah.
That's not an item that anybody's missing.
Yeah, and you show it, like you walk back, like almost dropping it so everybody can see that it's cheese and crackers.
We do get good skewers
Yeah.
in the back.
All seriousness, the food on the plane,
it's unreal.
it's like back in the day when you used to get meals served to you and stuff. Like there's
great.
white napkin. Everything about it's awesome.
Yeah, Carts is adding a little
It's fun because I used to be up in the land.
Yeah, you've seen it both.
Yeah. And then you go back to the back of the plane and it's like there's no Fiji water. Just
that's got to be hard for you guys.
It's fun.
I hope you push through.
But Joe, like you've been grinding for a long time too. Like you've had some, like you stay in shape, you work
Thanks,
at
Ryan.
it.
Appreciate
Tell us the
that.
story because you've got a little help too. Like I always see you running, pregame, getting your workout in. I actually don't know the full story. Like you have the pacemaker. Like how'd that go?
I was born with congenital heart block, which meant I had a slow resting heart rate. I had no issues as a kid or anything, but eventually, I was at CHOP in Philadelphia, Children's Hospital there for years. I was actually kind of their guinea pig for their like cardiovascular unit that they opened way back in the 80s. Like legit, I was like their first patient. I was on the news, which I don't know why, but I was. Then when we went to Houston, I had to change doctors. Like we're not Philly anymore. I'm not living in Idaho, going back and forth. So when we moved to Houston, when I saw, found a doctor down there, an electrophysiologist or whatever they are. And he's like, dude, you need a pacemaker. Like literally as blunt as that. And so, all right. So I did a little research, got a second opinion or whatever, and had one put in about 2010, I think. And it paces my heart like 99% of the time.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Anything changed for you?
No, not really. Other than having like a kind of vicious looking scar there. You can kind of see it sometimes when depending on how I move my arm, like
depending on how many
shirtless.
push-ups you did that day,
Yeah.
because sometimes you'll be swole.
Well, everything but that. But nothing's changed. I mean, I couldn't be a car mechanic anyway because I'm not handy or damn near tough enough for it. But like staying away from car batteries is probably advisable. I did get wanded one time in Winnipeg when we're was it Houston? Yeah, I guess I was with the Arrows in Houston. So American Hockey League playing the old Manitoba Moose. And I got wanded one time and just dropped.
Really?
Winnipeg Airport, yeah. Because the sensor thing beeped. And then by the time I was like, let me check you again. Beeps again. And I'm like, dude, I have a pacemaker. And literally I just hit the deck.
Like passed out?
I woke up staring at my shoe tops.
Wow. Like passed out? Like
yeah,
what happened?
I think this wand triggered the pacemaker to think that I don't know what it did. It threw it off for sure.
Oh my goodness.
Your buddies listening right now are just on Amazon, TSA wand.
Yeah, 2-day shipping.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I live a route. I mean, you wouldn't know unless you know, which you do. I'm not sure. I guess we talked about it at some point.
Yeah.
Hey, who are your heroes in the business? Obviously, you've been doing it a long time, and even what style? Like when you think of yourself doing play-by-play for the Wild, what do you want it to be like? Maybe who are some of the people you looked up to? What kind of experience do you want the listener to have?
Well, that's a lot, Kinger. So I'll try and break it down. But Doc Emmerich, obviously, to me, he was the greatest. Broadcaster. Just the way he was able to handle those big moments, but let the game breathe at the same time. His iconic, terminology, verb usage. I mean, sort of making up words that now are in hockey broadcasts, like knife the puck ahead. Like who thinks of that?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of great broadcasters out there. Obviously, some have retired, moved on. Some are still in the game. I mean, there's just so many talented individuals out there. But from a broadcast standpoint, I just try to be objective and passionate. I don't think you'll ever find me playing the homer role. That's never been me. I'm going to be prepared, and I'm going to try and be detailed in my description. And the biggest compliment I can get is, hey, I was listening to the game the other night, and I knew where the puck was. I could follow the puck. I knew exactly what was going on. When fans tell me that, that to me is the biggest thing, is capturing the moment, but I want you to know what is going on the ice. You can close your eyes and you don't have a question about how the game's playing out, where the puck is. And that's sort of my style: objective, passionate, and bring that energy and make sure I'm prepared and detailed. You
have a little bit of you bring some of the pageantry too. Like when I listen, and it's sort of the Wild are in their home sweaters and the Rangers and left to right on your radio dial. You do a little bit of like family sitting in front of the radio, looking for the multi-meal code or whatever. I like that. I like that kind of the reverence, I guess, for the broadcast. And do you preload like? So when the Twins finally won that playoff series, the guy that I was watching said 18 is enough, and I was like, that is so great. That's exactly what needed to be said.
Yeah.
So when you have it's Fleury's, breaking a record or this or that, do you kind of like sit there and try to Pez dispenser a couple? Do you believe in miracles? In your.
It's a great question. I think. I mean, I want it to be organic. I want it to be real in those moments. But I can't tell you that I haven't thought about some of that stuff in the past. In 2007, when I was working the ECHL, the Idaho Steelheads won the Kelly Cup. They were up 3-1 in the final series against the Dayton Bombers. And the night before Game 5, I was thinking about, all right, when we wrap this thing up, how do I want the call to be as the team wins the championship? So I don't know. Obviously, with the Wild, I haven't been in too many of those moments. I mean, Ryan Hartman wins the game in double overtime in Game 1 in Dallas. Like, you can't have anything scripted for that, right? So, should the Wild get to a spot where they're on the verge of something great, or a player's on the verge of something great, I think it's smart to have something in your back pocket. But I would never find myself. I don't think reading off the script, right?
Like, so for example, like, I think Anthony LaPanta had this in his pocket when Kirill Kaprizov scores his first goal, that it's Kirill the Thrill, right? Like, and then he scored a breakaway.
It's a perfect moment for it.
Yeah. Like he had it holstered, and then it just worked, right? But I think he had that prepared and ready. Do you ever do that? So, like, for example, in the Wild now have somebody like Marc-Andre Fleury, where as he starts to accumulate these records, like, you want to have something kind of profound to say when these records are accomplished, because that will live forever.
I think part of you wants to have something that's unique, something that's appropriate. But I also think that in this market, if you try and get too cute, like, it's just not what this town and this fan base is about, right? Like, they're hockey fans. So you don't need, like, you remember Randy Moeller, the Florida Panthers, either radio or TV guy, used to drop movie lines, right? When big moments would happen, and he went viral, and he was on YouTube, and, like, it was really cool, and I enjoyed it, and I watched it and listened to it. But, like, I don't think this is a market where if you have a lot of taglines and catchphrases and stuff like that it plays very well. And quite honestly, if I'm being completely candid, like, working with Tom Reed, like, that's not his style. You know what I mean? Like, Bob and Tom were never going to be, like, corny one-liners after each other. So I think part of me has to realize, too, like, in the moment, you're working with a guy that's an accomplished professional, has dedicated so much to this game, and he's old school, and I love it. And, like, if I start going over the top with outlandish commentary or one-liners or anything like that, like, I just don't think it plays well.
Yeah. What goes into a good goal call, and how much have you worked on yours?
The thing that I actually appreciate about my own work in that capacity is that no goal call is really ever the same. Like, I don't
they're a snowflake, just like your hair.
Yeah. Like, and some people might not like that. That's just me. Like, I don't have, if something's happening and we're talking and the puck ends up in the net, like, I'm not going to fake it and then, like, I'll get excited, but, like, it wasn't a build-up 2-on-1 backdoor where you can kind of feel the play coming, you can see the play coming, you can feel the energy in the building. That's a different goal call than, we're talking about the penalty that just happened right off the draw, the Wild fire one in from the point. Like, you have to, again, I try and be, like, as organic with things as possible. My goal call has certainly evolved over time. Again, I don't think that it's something you can really put too much, like, it's got to be this way every time. That's just not the style I've ever had.
Who has your favorite goal call?
You mean of other broadcasters?
Yeah. Doc?
I mean, Doc had a great one. I obviously growing up in Philadelphia, listening to Tim Saunders, Flyers radio guy, a lot. He's certainly more high pitched than most, and even higher pitched than I am, which, some would say is a good or bad thing. I'm trying to think.
You like the guy in Pitt?
I like John Forsland a lot.
Mm-hmm. What's the guy in Pitt? Slap me, silly Sydney.
Yeah, Mike Lang.
Make me a milkshake, Malkin.
So Yeah.
That stuff's pretty
Scratch my back with a hacksaw.
Yeah.
Mike Lang actually sent an email or a note to Mike Yo, who you guys know, obviously former Wild head coach, now with the Canucks. He was coaching in Houston when I was there, 2010, 2011 season. We go all the way to the finals, and he had just left Pittsburgh, and the Arrows beat the Milwaukee Admirals in like a Game 7 on the road to advance on to, I think, the second round, third round maybe. And Mike Lang must have been listening because he knew Mike Yo. And he sent Mike Yo a note after the game and said, like, hey, tell your radio guy, great job, whatever. And Mike Yo passed that on to me. It was like an email or something, or text. And, like, I was floored.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. What was his? He beat him like a rented mule.
Yeah. The Yager and Lemieux highlights back in the day with Mike Lang on the call are classic.
I mean,
Rick Jeanneret just passed away.
Yeah, he was another legend.
I mean, the LaFontaine call, the Mayday, those will live on in hockey lore.
Hey, what would you tell a kid? We'll get into the season preview, which is what this episode's all about, with the team starting this week. But there's a lot of people that want to do what you do, right? So what would you tell a young person looking to get into this kind of work, doing broadcast stuff, doing media for teams? What kind of advice would you give them? Because you've grinded your way all the way to the Montreal Bidet. So what's the first couple steps?
Reps, just reps.
Okay.
If you can, even like you said, hey, or you sit in front of your TV and call the game, or playing video games and call the game. If you can get into a press box of your local minor league team, ask for a press credential and sit up there and record games into your recorder. Now it's so easy with iPhones and everything else. Like, I remember sitting in the old Philadelphia Spectrum with a mini disc recorder and a microphone in a little stand, and I would do games or a period of a game just because I was able to get a credential for the Phantoms, because I happened to be doing some small writing at the time, like local magazine that you get for free at the rink and stuff. So I was able to get a credential, and there would be times where I'd sit up there and just try and work on my craft. So I can not stress enough just get reps, no matter what they are. And in today's technology and world we live in, with everybody having a podcast and being able to do all these things themselves.
What are you trying to say?
Wow, dime a dozen. Okay.
Not as big as this one, but you can do it. You can have a YouTube page. You can. Did that come off wrong?
No, we just took it wrong.
Yeah. But you can, take it upon yourself to get the reps, to put your product out there, to get content, to get feedback on it. And I think that's important. And then if you get into the minor league sports world, no matter the sport, you have to be willing to do more than just call games. You got to sell tickets. You got to sell corporate advertising. You might have to do the PR. You might have to wear the mascot suit.
How many jobs did you have in Iowa? So when I finished playing in Iowa, you were wearing maybe 6 hats. Team services, so you'd book travel, all that, per diem. You'd book the hotels for guys coming in.
Tickets on the road, hotel rooms for family members coming to town, trade a player, sign a player.
Hotel, or like road meals.
Yeah, car services,
radio,
flights, the broadcasting.
Coaches concierge.
Oversaw the PR staff.
Bail money.
Sold corporate advertising for every single year I worked in minor league hockey.
Wow.
Joe was like if you needed something.
Post-game story, game
Joe.
notes, whatever. But that's the business. Like, when people like bring that up, I'm like, dude, that's what everybody in the minor league does. Like, if you're a minor league radio guy, 99 times out of 100, you're doing something else. And sometimes it's 3 or 4 jobs. So, like, I didn't look at it like, man, I'm doing so much. It was like, that's what you do to survive and keep the dream alive.
Mm-hmm. Do you kind of feel like you're breaking a broadcasting rule right now?
Why?
Really making it about yourself?
I didn't expect us to be talking about me, to be quite honest.
Well, quit making it so much about yourself. That's like broadcasting 101.
Gosh,
Joe.
Let me defer to my color guys here.
Blah, blah, blah. I'm the best. Blah, blah, blah.
We get
This
it.
is why
You're great.
I thought we were talking about the Wild.
I think Middleton calls you Wild Joe Radio. Is that what he calls you?
That's the Twitter handle, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I did see that the other day.
Yeah, he was being interviewed. Wow, Wild Joe Radio. I'm like, what the?
Well, I just had him on the post-game show on the radio side. And, he scored, and we're talking. But I asked him about the Duhaime fight because the video board showed him, like, he was about announcing. He was a ring announcer there. He was Joe Rogan at the side of the UFC fight as Duhaime and Mason Marchment were chucking him. And so I asked him about it, And then I guess Russo post-game in the locker room asked him about it, and he gave me a little shout-out.
Yeah, I think it sounds cool. Wild Joe Radio. It's like Wolfman Jack or something. It gives you a different... I would maybe lean into that. Wild Joe Radio here. Yeah, TR would love that.
So you talked about the market and how it'd be a little different, like you're starting to get a feel for it. What's your take on Wild fans? Because this is actually... It's been a really big week or 10 days for Minnesota sports fans, because you have the Twins who snap an 0-18 playoff streak.
Yep.
And then they win a series. It's like there's starting to be some positive movement in
Minnesota.
Awesome. Yep. The fan base here is a little beaten down. And people aren't going to like this, but I stand by it. Like, coming from Philadelphia, knowing the passion there, I know Vikings fans in particular hate Philly fans and whatever. But my point is, like, Philly's had a lot of heartbreak over the years, okay? I'm 43, and I've seen 2 championships, like, since I was out of diapers across the 4 sports. And I know Minnesota fans are going to be like, well, we don't have anything since, the Twins?
Yep, 91.
So I get it, okay? And you're like, well, but I'm telling you, there's so many similarities to any city that has just gone through, like, disappointment and heartache, and you start to get jaded, and you start to go, well, when's the other shoe going to drop, right? Like, they're never going to get out of the first round. They're never. So I see that, and I sort of, like, I respect it. I embrace it a little bit, and I get it.
You relate to it a little?
I relate. That's the word. I relate to it, and I know, again, like Philly. I just relate to it because I've seen it for a large part of my life. And when you win as a fan, there's nothing better. You just want it every year, even though you can't have it every year. So
like when Nick Foles comes to town, just embrace it. Like, he's your guy. Isn't that who took the Eagles to the promised land?
Yes.
So you never know. It's an unlikely hero.
Exactly. Hold out the hope, because it becomes that much sweeter when you finally get it done, and they can't take it away from you.
I'm feeling so good right now.
Hold out the hope. That's kind of what we're all about,
too. I mean, look at your...
We're trying to be.
You guys have literally signed up for a lifetime contract. Till the Stanley Cup is here, you're here. I mean, that's your tagline.
It's job security. Let's talk Twins for a minute. So, I find it interesting that playoff baseball to me elevates the same way that playoff hockey does. I think those are the 2 sports where you go, like, football's kind of the same. It's great. It's the same, but like, playoff baseball goes from checkers to chess, and then playoff hockey goes from like recreation to gladiator. I mean, it's
pickleball to the U.S. Open.
That's right. It is so different, and wasn't it? It's been really refreshing across the river to watch the Twins. Just be ahead in a couple games, win a series. And I love this Paul Molitor quote, right? He said, if you win the first game, the last series, you're not a part of the 0-18. As long as you win the next game, you never were a part of it. And you move on. And I just think it's funny to watch young players, young families. I saw them go on the field after the first round victory, and it just, you can feel it turning. And I think that's what we're looking for with the Wild, right? Because momentum builds on itself. You start to believe and have a totally different swagger. So I hope that whatever's happening over there at Target Field can kind of get into the water and run east.
I think the Twins are a handful of years behind the Wild, and that things turned for the Wild, I think, like when 97 showed up, right? And now the expectations are a little bit higher, and then that's kind of where the pressure's coming, and that's like the difference. Like winning one playoff game, and it was like, whew, Twin season was good, right? The Wild are a couple of years past that.
Yeah.
Now it's like, we need to win a series. We need to win 2. Give yourself a chance at a little bit of luck, and then you're in a cup final. So it's a little different. Wild are a little bit ahead of them. But with that, I think it's a good transition into our thoughts on the upcoming season. I think we're all prepped here with
bold predictions. And as a listener, I think a lot of times people just make predictions and then we can't even find them. They were on our phone. They were in the notes on our phone. So we're really we got these cards and we're gonna keep them here. And from time to time, we're gonna see how much jackasses we were based on the start of the season. So you want to go to make this tolerable for the listener.
We should put something on it then. Like, whoever has the most bold predictions real life wins something.
Steak.
Caramel dip.
Caramel dip from Jimmy's.
And
Loser has to eat a steak and caramel
body
dip.
wash.
I don't think it
Aged
should
in
be.
caramel dip.
Let's not make it punishment based. Let's say.
That's fantasy football last.
See carts, the player in carts comes right out.
I think it's.
Going to be a money on the board fine, or it's going to be something that's just absolutely embarrassing. And
I think it's a Mancini's dinner. We go out, the three of us, and
It should be on
and the
7th.
person that did the best doesn't pay. Don't bring your wallet. Full scholarship.
Deal.
Yeah? Deal?
Yeah.
All right. Shake on it. You shake with him. We're all connected. You want to go first? To make this tolerable for the listener, we're going to have each person read their 5 predictions in a row, so we're not dissecting 15 things and half of them are the same. And we're just going to have a little banter about what's sticking out,
Because we did put something on the line, there has to be one veto ability. So, like, let's say one of your bold predictions is like Kirill Kaprizov gets 100 points. It'd be like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, you can. So then you have to revisit. You have to, while the other guy's going, you have to, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
All right, you want to go first, Karts, or our
No,
guest?
I won't go first. But before we get to these bold predictions, Kingers, we should probably, it's going to be a little bit, so we should probably sit down with a little snack and make sure we have enough sustenance to get through this part of the podcast.
Well, if I was looking to make it through an extra long podcast, I would check out Jimmy's Sea Salt Caramel Dip. Griffin from Jimmy's swung by my office and gave me this. I didn't even realize they had the sea salt upgrade to the caramel dip. This is like sitting in Comfort Plus. A little bit of sea salt, just taking it up that one extra level. Microwave safe, so you can warm this up, drizzle it on ice cream, apples, pretzels, whatever you want. It's a healthy snack from Jimmy's. Don't you be messing with my dresses. God, that makes me feel like Gene Simmons every time I do it.
Makes me feel something too, just weird.
Not what you think. Hey, have you picked out your Halloween costume yet?
I have not picked out the Halloween costume.
You could go as like YMCA guys, like maybe wear a construction outfit.
Oh. You know where I could probably call to get one of those?
Where?
This is such a great segue.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it. It's seasonal.
You really wanted this
Yeah,
one?
that's a good one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I might be able to walk around the house and pick up a hard hat here or there because recently I had a new roof put on and the house painted and some storm damage taken care of by my friends at Wild Construction. You see, a hailstorm came through and it did some damage. I couldn't see it from my point of view, so I had to call somebody that can get up on the roof. That's my boy Freddie Dean at Wild Construction. He got up there with a fancy piece of chalk and circled some spots and said, you certainly have some damage. Went on the siding, said it's there. That's what I originally saw. And then the adjuster comes over, boom, next thing you know, they're getting the work. They're scheduling. It's not like they sat on it for a long time, but it took them about 3 days from tear down to completion to have a GAF certified roof on top of the house. And I tell you what, that's comforting because we're going into the snow season and I don't have to worry about any damage to my roof, any leaks coming through, nothing. Everything looks great. It's buttoned up. It was a concierge service. Freddie took care of me from the assessment to the adjustment to finishing it, and it was perfect and would recommend those guys wholeheartedly. Those are my guys, wildconstructionmn.com.
Wild on 7th has a brand new sponsor. We couldn't be more excited about them. Cub. If you're looking for some fresh, delicious milk, you're going to want to check out Cub. 48 hours from farm to shelf. You're not going to find that anywhere else. You're going to pay less. So head on into your favorite neighborhood grocery store, Cub, and get yourself some delicious milk. Lean into it and end up with a Jake Middleton-sized milk mustache. Thank you for being here, Cub.
Kinger, it's time for the AC to be turned off, the heat to be turned on, and if you're looking for a place to get your AC system tuned up, look no further than Aquarius Home Services. In fact, the time to buy is right now. They're in the midst of their fall blowout sale, so if you want comfort and unbelievable prices, right now they've got a 25% discount on whole home heating and cooling systems. And if you need water, they've got whole home water solutions by Connecticut too. You got to act now. The deal doesn't last forever. Get your home heating and cooling systems checked out, or if you're looking for just worry-free water, They've got that there too. But it all starts with a free water analysis. For that, call our friends at AquariusHomeservices.com. Or I should say check them out at AquariusHomeservices.com. They're earning the right to be recommended.
Do you ever notice that all the reads you do are like your house, and then everything I read is like I'm eating and drinking? Is that weird? It's like you're like anti-M, like your house has been through hell. You got lead in your water. Everybody's coming into your home, taking off their shoes, wearing booties, and I've just got my head in a caramel tub and I'm over at Cub loading up at the deli counter. I don't know. Maybe we could mix it up or something.
So maybe should our first bold prediction be Kinger's going on a diet this year?
I get a weight loss sponsor. I could have done that. Maybe. God, I could be Patrick Sharp. Just give me, 5 months and 50 pounds.
Well, let's get into these bold predictions. Joe, thanks for sitting with us. Why don't you lead us off, Joe, with your first bold prediction?
One sec before we get into Joe, who, by the way, has some serious hair of his own going on. I think we're going to dub this the Rooster. That's the only way you can describe what he has going on. And he probably got there with some help from Duke Cannon, because if your hair is a weapon, or you wish it was, Duke Cannon is your friend. Hardworking products for hardworking guys. So if you've been watching the Beckham documentary on Netflix, you've seen some looks that Joe O'Donnell will be rocking. Let's see this is the guy who watches every game, left to right on your radio dial.
Radio works so much harder than TV. TV, we do
Your words,
70 games a year, 73 with preseason maybe. Because 12 get taken, 13 get taken from the national broadcast, and then we don't do all preseason. Radio guys do every single game. If they drop the puck and it counts, they're doing
I'm in mid-season form already.
Yeah. So these guys work a lot harder than TV.
Okay, these are Wild Joe Radio's 5 bold predictions.
No peeking, Kinger. All right, ready? First up, Marc-Andre Fleury will pass Patrick Waugh for second most all-time wins on December the 3rd against Chicago. That's the date. It's at home. It's an afternoon game. Book it.
That is bold.
That's super terrifying.
I'm already now buying dinner because I'm.
No, but that one alone has got to be. We'll put like a point value on that.
How many games does he need to win?
He needs 8 to pass him.
So you're like, that's almost a
How many
prediction
games into the season is that?
I don't want to tell you that.
Okay.
But I did the math. I did a little counting. Like, he'll probably play 1 game this week, 2 this week. It's back-to-back. He'll get in here. If he goes 7-3-1,
I like this. Okay.
December 3rd. Book it. All right, Marco Rossi. And then I have an order to these, by the way. Marco Rossi will score 5 goals in his first 10 games and finish with 15+ in the regular season.
God, you are bold. So a hot
bold.
start for Rossi is part of it. Okay.
You want me to keep rolling?
Oh, yeah.
Jeez, there's nothing that's not bold so far.
We'll pick one or two that we elaborate on, but you rip through these.
Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Boldy combine for 90 goals this year. That's a lot.
That's a lot of
That is a lot of goals.
Boldy at 31, Kaprizov we know in the 40s, so I need 50 from 97 and I need 40 from 12. That's what I'm banking on.
Jeez, you're going like 1990s NHL.
This one is outstanding, and I believe to be the most true of my 5 bold predictions. So, drum roll, please. Brock Faber will finish top 5 in Calder Trophy voting as league's top rookie. Top 5. I don't think he can win it because he's not going to have a gaudy amount of points and he's not going to be the media hype of Bedard, but he will be top 5 in Calder Trophy voting.
Wow.
That one I feel really good about.
I'm going to have to look into that one.
You're going to have Cooley, you're going to have Bedard, Nyes maybe. Fantilli, Carlson. I don't even know if he's going to play in Sweden or what his deal is, but Brock Faber, top 5 Calder Trophy voting. He's going to play 20-some minutes a night, and he's a stud.
Yeah, I'm curious how many rookies there will be. So, like, is that bold? That just means if there's 12 rookies this year.
This guy.
Right? It's not that bold, but
12 rookies.
The guy's a defenseman.
How many rookies are there going to be?
He's a defenseman.
I mean, there's some guys that played like 15 games last year that are still considered rookies.
That's true.
I mean, Kaapo Kähkönen was like considered a rookie for like 3 years because he played like 8 games, 7 games, 15 games. All right, here we go.
You really did this well.
Last but not least, I couldn't disappoint you guys. The Wild will clinch a wild card playoff spot and advance past the first round after defeating the Edmonton Oilers. Book it.
Is that like on a specific day too?
Well, I don't know when they're going to beat the Oilers, but the Oilers are going to win the Western Conference. The Wild will be the second wild card team, and they will beat the Oilers with the upset city in round 1.
Woo! Doesn't it feel like he used like AI or machine learning on his picks? Like the way it was so specific. Like there was a tool involved, an algorithm. He's got dates coming out. He's got
all last night watching
He's got
Sunday Night
opponents.
Football.
He's adding things in he doesn't have to add in. Right. And the anthem will be sung by none other than Carrie Underwood. Like what? They're all bold. Let's see. What should we talk about?
I'm going to go
here?
90 goals for those guys.
You think that he needs to redo that one?
No. I think we can just elaborate on it. I'm going to look up what they. I actually can't because we lost Wi-Fi back here. But what the total number of goals that the Wild scored last year was, so that's going to account for 1/3 total goals. Like they're probably somewhere in the 270 range, right? But so that's
probably
1/3 of the team goals.
I think they averaged 3 point something last year.
Yeah.
So figure they averaged 3.1 or 3.2, which is pretty like top 10-ish offensively.
Yeah. So that's like if 3 goals a game, that's 250 goals on the year, right? So those guys are getting almost 40%. I think it's doable.
I mean, it's Boldy at 31 last year. Kaprizov 2 years ago at 47. So I need a spike from Boldy. Can't have a cold stretch like he did last year. Playing with Johansson, he was red hot end of the year. Maybe that carries over early. I'd like to see Kaprizov shoot the puck more, to be honest, or he's not getting to 50. He's too unselfish at times, in my opinion. So shoot the puck 97, 12 don't go cold on me, and we got 90.
Woo. So I think that Kaprizov has a chance to do more. I'm curious how this new power play is gonna shake out. It looked to me like they're really trying to get the puck in the hands of Kaprizov more.
Yeah, and in other spots of the ice. Like on Saturday, I noticed he's up like top of the circle, roving around, and you're right. They were distributing to him a lot, it looked like.
And I think that they want it run through him. Like there's always somebody on every power play where things are run through all the time. And then everybody else is like a complementary piece.
Yep.
Think Connor McDavid. Everything goes through McDavid, right? And Draisaitl gets all the goals, and the D-man's going to pick up a ton of apples, but everything is meant to go through McDavid. He's the one that's a dual threat, shot, pass. He can do a lot of things, and that's what they want. I think the last couple of years, Kaprizov was almost one of those guys where they wanted him to get the puck later in the power play in a scoring spot, right? Now it's like, get it to him, have the puck in our best player's hands as much as possible, let him use his creativity, his hockey sense to help this power play be better. Now, I don't know if that will translate into shots and goals or just a higher power play percentage. I think it's the right strategy.
Yeah. Well, I guess I would ask you, who would you say ran the power play in Vancouver? Who did it run through? Because Jason King, we know, comes over from the Canucks. He's going to take...
Well, that's Quinn Hughes.
Right.
That's
not Pedersen, it's more Hughes.
That one
right,
was
up
Quinn
top.
Hughes.
Yeah. That's kind of what I thought your answer would be, but, with Pedersen out there and JT Miller and... but yeah, Hughes is patrolling the blue line. He's facilitating from there.
Yeah, so you're building your power play to complement his skill set.
Yep.
Right? And then you're putting guys in other places that will help him have success through his skill set. And I think the philosophy of the power play the last couple of years might have been slightly different than that with Kaprizov. It's like, okay, what we want to do is have it run through Zuki, who's and I'm not saying that this is what it was, but who's a great distributor of the puck, and we want Kaprizov on his forehand, Zuki coming down that left side on his forehand, passing at an angle where these guys on the backside can get goals and shots, right? And now I think that's switched a little bit.
Yeah, well, time will tell, but I agree. I did see, especially Saturday. Now, the power play started with 3 goals in the preseason opener with not a lot of regulars in the lineup and didn't score again until the last one. But it was nice to see them generate good opportunities in that final preseason game with the power play, and I think you're right. I think we'll see more puck touches for Kaprizov in that high slot area and let him sort of run things a bit. We'll see how it translates.
What have you seen about Marco Rossi that makes you think that he's going to jump in and...
It's got to happen. If this team's going to win and have 90-plus points and be in a playoff spot, Rossi, Faber, Addison have to play. They have to play every night, and they have to contribute. And so I guess there's a little optimistic sort of...
You're hoping this?
Yes.
Like a little self-fulfilling hopeful prophecy?
Yes,
a little bit?
But I will say that I think... last year's preseason where he had 9 points, I don't know, maybe it gave him some false sense of security where he thought he was just going to be easy in the regular season. Then when it wasn't, maybe his confidence waned in and out of the lineup. but he's put on, 10 to 15 pounds of muscle by all indication. I think he's looked stronger in the corners and winning some of those battles. We've always seen he's around the net. He's had chances to score preseason, regular season. He just hasn't finished in the regular season to this point. But I think he's ready. No more of this. He's in the press box. He's going to the minors. Like, this is it. This is a make or break year for him. And I believe that he's got the right mindset. And playing with Freddie Gaudreau and Marcus Foligno, I think, is going to be great for him because he's got Freddie back there. He doesn't have to think as much defense where I'll see, even though he is a 200-foot player by all indications, he doesn't have to worry about that with Freddie Gaudreau out there. And he's got the safety net and the protection of Marcus Foligno. So he don't have to worry about getting run through the end glass because Moose is right there. So
yeah, he did. And Rossi, that was his thing last year a little bit too, is he'd get hit hard. He'd play with his head down.
Yeah. So I think those line mates are good for him. I think they'll provide him with confidence, pick him up when things aren't going well. I think he's going to get off to a good start.
Yeah, that's. I think you're spot on that they probably are going to need that third line to be good. And Marco Rossi, he had the great camp last year. He's had another real good camp this year.
Yeah.
But one play that kind of burnt itself into my mind this preseason was there's a couple passes that he's made. And I think when you're watching a player, you can tell how confident they are with pace of pass. So in a scoring area, a player will see a hole, and if they put a lot of pace on that pass, sometimes that can indicate like they see the hole, and then they gotta throw the puck through the hole while it still exists. Other players can, like Zuccarello, his pace on passes are always perfect, right? Because he's anticipating the hole that's going to be there. He sees it. He waits for it to open through his pace and everything. Marco Rossi's pace on some of these passes that he's made for goals is spot on. It's not forcing a play. It's seeing a play.
So he's not seeing it last minute, and he's got to zip it.
Yeah.
He knows it's coming.
Yes.
And then he's ready for it.
It's a confident play. Like, I see this, I make this. I'm not worried about a stick coming and taking it. I'm not worried about this. Like, the pace of the pass in the offensive zone has been good, and I think that's going to translate into some success. But 5 goals in first 10, I think, is going to be hard. I think he's a distributor. I don't think he's a finisher.
I agree with that. But I'm banking on a fast start for him. If he doesn't get off to a fast start, then I'm worried.
The thing is, Marcus Foligno will not shoot the puck either. So the last 3 years has had like 25% shooting percentage because he waits till it's absolutely perfect and he knows it's going to go in to fire it.
Yeah.
He'll have 2 shots on goal a night, and they'll both go in. But so somebody's going to have to fire that biscuit. You want to do your bolds?
Yeah, let's go. So I think this year's totally different. I think Billy's been signing up all these load-bearing walls, and I think last couple of years we've always been reacting to the season prior, and so I just think this is all going to change. The Wild are going to win the Central outright. Okay, 2 guys that are going to have a renaissance. There's going to be a Marcus Renaissance and a Maroon-essence. So Foligno's back to 40 points. I've seen him a decent amount. He just seems different. I don't think he felt good last year. I don't know what was going on, but he just really feels different. I think he's going to enjoy playing with Rossi. I think he's going to be back to his old ways. And I think Pat Maroon had a dip last year. I think with those 2 speed demons next to him, he's used to that, like, fourth line, like a bunch of guys like him. He's in an Uber Lux as a fourth line. I mean, and he's skilled. So I think he's going to be back up to those 25 points. I think the Wild will have 4 80-point scorers on this team. I did the last 2 Rossi redemption. He's going to have at least 30 points. I had him down for 60 last year, by the way.
A year older and half the production.
Didn't go well.
Is bold.
And then I got what I call boiling breaking point. Both Kirill and Eriksson Ek will have a fight this year, and they will win. They're just, both of them are just going to finally, because that's another sign between Dean's hair, which we got to talk about. It's all going to this is a different season. This is when we just kind of we just go to places we've never been before, including a playoff round victory. Yeah, but I think those guys are going to snap.
Anything you see in there that you want to elaborate on?
Number 2. I love the Pat Maroon sort of reading the tea leaves, because especially that last game, and I know it's preseason, but he scores in Chicago to tie the game late. just his passing the other night, like I'm seeing some of that hand-eye, some of that skill, some of that, there's something here offensively. Like you think fourth line, big guy, fight anybody. But I agree. I think there's something there. Not only his, intangibles that he brings and his experience in winning 3 Stanley Cups, but I think I like that line a lot, Dewar, Duhaime, and Maroon, and we'll see. Like one of the ones I wanted to put in there and I cut off my list was, something to the effect of Connor Dewar having a breakout year offensively. Those guys are going to get chances. They just got to finish this year, and I believe Maroon will be setting them up a lot.
It's funny. Billy said part of the reason he traded for Pat was he would drag guys into the fight.
Yeah.
Especially in the playoffs, I think and watching what he did to Jamie Benn, it was just
why. By the way,
whole fan base. I mean, that was the greatest. Jamie was it was like he was like a bear in the woods, and he was just trying to hold on to him in such a way that he wouldn't get hit in the. It was awesome to watch.
I mean, that was, I don't want to say an odd spot for a fight, but it's preseason. Jamie Benn probably wanted nothing to do with that. They're down 3-0 on the road, and literally it was like, we're taking this draw and we're not touching the puck. We're just going to fight.
I
was Maroon. So
I don't know what to make of it because I didn't see Maroon switch to center to say anything.
So did he get thrown?
I've never seen somebody kicked out of a...
Right. Was somebody thrown out, or did they put Maroon out there?
I don't know.
It's the one thing I missed, and I feel terrible missing it. But all of a sudden, the puck was dropped, and it was Maroon and Ben, like you said. But
hold on. When you watch it again, Ben was the one that grabs a hold of Maroon. Maroon couldn't even get his stick out.
He's just holding on because I think
Ben was
holding on for dear life.
Ben initiated the fight. I don't think Maroon.
Because his gloves are off too. That's one of the things I was looking at was if Pat threw his gloves down and Jamie didn't. But I think once he realized that he was doing this, he had second thoughts and he was just burying his face in his jersey. Yeah.
I think that fight was entirely Ben trying to get his group going.
In the preseason, down 3-0 with
that was just a leadership move.
With 4 of the regulars out of the lineup?
I think that was just a leadership move.
Good for him.
This is the time for me to make.
Why was Patty Maroon taking the draw? That's what I can't figure out. Unless it was a premeditated.
So what I don't know is I saw them jawing back and forth on the bench a couple of times.
Yeah.
Don't know obviously what that was about.
I meant to ask Maroon yesterday at Strike It Wild. I forgot. I was just going to be in passing, hey, it could be one of those where he told Dean, I'm taking the next draw, or they come on the ice and he told Dewar, I'm in. Who knows? Those are the great stories.
Let me call this phony out. Let me call this phony out or something.
I hope that it was driven by the Wild all the way back to last year. That guy never would go. He would never go all the way and engage. I took it as a Minnesota Wild initiative.
Awesome.
Let's clear the If he was here last year, this whole thing would have felt different. Now, maybe you're right about Ben. Good for him, but I don't know if that's how he's going to fight. I don't know if that's going to spark your team.
So then do you think it was in retaliation to his encounter with Eriksson Ek?
Could have been. That's, again, I wish I had the details.
So I'm guessing that encounter with Eriksson Ek because Ben dove a little bit, and then he swung his stick around purposefully, caught Ek up high. I'm guessing everybody on the Wild bench was like, hey, we know what that was about, phony. That was a clean hit, take it.
I said to TR the other night, man, I just can't wait to watch this guy all year. I feel like I enjoyed watching Ryan Reeves last year. You could just see the other team at times wants nothing to do with them in a scrum. And I feel the same way about Maroon. He just has that alpha male personality. He's fought Chara 6 times in his career, which is an insane amount to fight an absolute grizzly bear. I just love the fact that this guy gives zero you-know-whats, and he is going to be exactly who he is, bringing guys into the fight when there's a long trip or a rough patch. Pat Maroon's a guy you want on your side of things. I can't wait to watch him this year.
I agree that he's going to be great. He's going to be fun to watch, but I don't necessarily agree that it's going to be easy for him to get, or that he's going to get 25 points. I think it's going to be hard. There's going to be no special teams. I think Dewar and Duhaime are going to do a lot of their damage shorthanded. Believe it or not, they did last year too, with speed and pace. I think Maroon's going to get 6 or 7 minutes a night, and that's just on math,
it's hard.
Probabilities. Yeah. That's so hard to get that kind of production offensively.
I mean,
Yeah, exactly. And then not to mention, like, he's not a spring chicken anymore. It's not easy in the third period to get that body going when you've been sitting for 30 straight minutes, and I don't think it's not that he's not capable of it. If he gets opportunity, if he's playing, and I wouldn't be surprised if at some point he's like a net front option on power play too. Yeah, because he's good there. If that's the case, I think 25 is achievable. Without that, I think he's probably in the mid-teens, if not, maybe a little bit lower. 7 minutes a night, 5-on-5 hockey, hard to score.
They're all bold. We got some bold stuff
It's
so
bold.
far.
It's bold.
Hey, can we, before you do yours, so like, I love what's going on with Dean's hair. Like, I love it. Like, it's just a little bit more grown out.
Yeah.
So like, if
I
you
keep
were
waiting for him to cut it.
I know, but if you were to watch like game film, right?
Yeah, were you the one that asked if his barber was closed?
Yeah.
Like he wasn't.
Don't do that. No, because
Too late.
He's like, it's already cut. Did he cut it?
No, I'm just saying, like, literally, like, the first second of training camp media availability, he walked in this room, and all I heard was, I didn't know if it was you or not, but should have assumed, is your barber closed? Like,
So
you didn't even answer a question from the media yet, and you were already chirping him.
But it's like punk rock. It's like Rod Stewart.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
It is
it's
a
just
Rod Stewart,
slightly grown out hair.
Is he doing something to the back and sides as well with, like, a gel? It seems a little style. It's got, like, a little curl to it.
He's working on it now.
I love it.
Wow.
I like it because it separates the last few years from this one. Like,
That's why he's doing it.
Like, if you saw game tape, you'd be
Great
like,
point.
oh, that must be 2023, 24, because look at Dean's hair, I can tell.
Yeah.
I think that's why he's doing it.
asked him.
He did say he was going to be different this year. He's going to be less on the refs. He's going to be.
Yeah, he's laid back.
This is Dean Evison 2.0.
He said sometimes you just got to change stuff up.
He did.
Yeah. So
love it.
It's just he had his off season, the things that he could adjust, change. One of them is his hair. He came back. It's different.
What if he's wearing like Crocs on the bench? He's got the little bit long hair.
Well, let's go right into this bold prediction because you just mentioned that Dean said that he's going to be less on the refs. I think he takes a fine this year. I think at one point, like, that's enough, And I don't think it's going to be like a passion one. I think there's going to be times where he just is
Honest.
yeah. And at some point, like, boom, he'll take
That's on one of yours?
Yeah.
So Dean takes a fine, just like basically just says
Yeah,
it's
not
fair.
like throwing sticks onto the ice, but just like at some
Post-game
point
even.
sewering somebody
something.
and
Yeah.
getting
I like
All right.
it. I like it.
I like that a lot, especially since we just
the
got done talking about Dallas, and we know how that war of words went last year.
Yeah.
The media game between DeBoer and Evison with the penalties and I like that.
the
Yeah,
game,
it
the
says
game within the game.
Dean gets fined.
The other bold prediction, let's see, did I write that one down? I think the Wild, they finished it like sixth in penalty minutes last year, fourth in majors, I believe. I think they fall out of the top 10 in both of those. I still think that that's an identity piece to their game. It's a physical brand, but I just don't think that they're going to be as focused on being the 7th Street Savages. I think that there are other teams now that have other reasons to fight and to watch out for kids like Bedard or different things, and they'll just pass them. I think the Wild probably end up with 25 to 30 majors, probably 10th in penalties and minutes, and that's a good year for them. I think if Dean truly is less hard on the refs too, that will take, a penalty minute off per night, where the refs aren't going to, keep going after them and making them pay for certain things like that. But so, yeah, I think the Wild fall out of the top 10 in both those categories, and they have been in both those categories for the last handful of years.
Okay.
That's why
kinder, gentler Wild.
Large reason why they were top 10 in penalty minutes per game was because of the fights. And that was my whole point last year when DeBoer was bringing up, they're a penalized team. Well, he was skewing the numbers. Mm-hmm. All you had to do was pull up penalties taken or time shorthanded, and literally the Stars and Wild were within like 6 times shorthanded of each other all year last year in 82 games. Mm-hmm. But it was the big bad Wild that were always in the box. No, it's because they fought more than your team did, and they had maybe a misconduct or two more because Hartman was snapping or whatever. Like the numbers at the end of the day in time shorthanded between those two teams last year, you wouldn't even bat an eye at the difference.
Right. I also think it's just going to be a little different this year with the cap crunch, and there may be games where the Wild have to be forced. It's feasible that they're forced to play with 19 players.
Or have like Addison play up front.
Yeah.
And not have a 12th true forward in the lineup.
So some
I
of
see
it,
that for sure.
Some of it, I think there's going to be like an undercurrent of, hey, stay healthy. Like don't do anything you don't have to do. Like Ryan Hartman, don't chase Tenorti around. Like we need you. So-and-so Middleton, don't do this. We need you. I think that there will be an undercurrent of that, and there will be fewer majors and penalties and minutes because of that. They need their guys to stay healthy. They had one player play 82 last year, Freddie Gaudreau. I think this year they're going to need somewhere near six guys to play all 82. So health is going to be critical. Next one for me, the Wild have been putrid in the penalty or in the face-off circle over the last 4 years. I think they've averaged 29th. I'll pull the stats up right now, but my thought is that they're finally going to finish at 50% or above, and that will put them in the top half of the league in face-offs. I think Marco Rossi and his 15 pounds are going to do a lot. I think Connor Dewar, he spent the summer in preparing, I think, to be a better face-off guy, and I think Dean will coach in such a way where he wins more of those meaningless face-offs now. So he'll send a center out in a D-side neutral zone dot to win a draw and jump off the ice. I think that's possible this year where it wasn't before. Even if it's just to relieve some of the pressure, you win those. Relieve some of the pressure when games matter of saying, what are you going to do about face-offs? Your team stinks in face-offs. But over the last 4 years, starting in 1920, the 1920 season, 48.4, and then the following year they finished with 46.5%, 47.6%, 47.7%. And in each of those years, the league winner was about 53%.
And so you have them jumping 3 full percentage points.
Mm-hmm.
A statistical anomaly.
Oh, yeah, over the last 4 years, and not much has changed in terms of their personnel from their 48.4%.
Very meta. I like it.
Yeah, but I do agree that Rossi should help, and I think Dewar is improved there, or at least to your point, they told him at the end of the year, you got to be better.
Yeah. And I think the Wild's best faceoff guy last year might have been Boldy. So
it was numbers wise.
Yes.
And Carell. So
you're going to see those guys taking strong side draws more if they can, like, encourage your center to cheat. You have somebody that can take a face-off. You're on your third line, you have Freddie Gaudreau and Marco Rossi. You got a righty-lefty. Go ahead, cheat, win it. I want you to win 60% of your draws, guys.
Eriksson Ek should be over 50%. He usually leads the team in face-off wins. Boldy, when he gets in there for a handful per game, is usually pretty good.
I give guys that take penalty kill draws some grace. So I'll delete like 2% or add 2% to their average, because you should lose more of those than you win. If you're taking PK draws, they've got 5, you've got 4. They get to choose side. Like you're in a tough spot.
Put your stick down first.
You're in a tough spot. So he does that, but give him a point or two for taking a lot of those. But yeah, they finished top half of the league, 50%. Another bold prediction: Mason Shaw ends up signing for league minimum because the Wild really don't have a ton of cap room right now, but league minimum at some point, and ends up playing games for the Wild down the stretch.
That'd be outstanding. Everybody's rooting for him.
I don't take this the wrong way. I don't think that's bold at all.
You don't think it's bold?
I think it's happening. So I like it. I like it. And I don't mean it's not bold, because obviously he's on a AHL contract right now. But
Is he on an AHL deal?
Yeah, they signed, Iowa officially signed him a couple days ago. But yeah, 1,000%. I'd say by February, he's in the Wild lineup.
Yeah. 2-way deal.
Yep.
You got one more?
So there's my bold prediction then. By February. Has to be by February.
Yeah, add that. Yeah.
Deal. Last one, and this is maybe the boldest of them. Well, I actually have 2 more.
He's cheating already.
Oh, you can only have 5.
Okay, fine. Wild on 7th takes over Let's Play Hockey.
We're going to do a goal call?
I think at some point we do the Let's Play Hockey, or all submissions come through Wild on 7th podcast, and we're the ones that
like that filter through who gets to do it.
Yep, we get to decide.
We're like the brokers.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
I hope that's true.
I thought when you start with Wild on 7th, and I don't know where you guys rank as far as podcasts, but I thought you were going to say we're taking over like number one
chicklets.
hockey podcast in.
Travis Kelce's podcast.
Yeah.
He's taking over number one podcast.
Thought that's
in
where you
White
were
Bear
going.
Lake.
Wild on 7th, and then you're like, let's play hockey.
Carts would have to hire Taylor Swift as like an assistant coach on the U10A. That'd be our only shot at that. White Bear U10A, new
Taylor.
Coach Swift.
What do you think about coaching? Yeah, I think
Good
that
work.
would be,
I think they're all good.
that would be fun.
Can we do a couple little updates? I found out what happened with Brock and not wearing his glasses in the headshots.
Yeah, I did too.
Broken glasses. So that's just totally explainable.
Should have had the Hansen with the
He
tape.
did. He taped them.
He
did?
has
Oh, it's
taped them
amazing.
since. So there is a pair of glasses floating around with tape on them. But if you had concern for the Wild season, like I did, seeing Brock go,
Like he won't be able to see.
they're just
how
going
he play.
like nude on his headshot, like no tortoiseshell glasses. That's not cool. It was because they were broken. And I
Speaking of those,
Sources.
did you know that his glasses are a sponsored Element?
yes, and I don't remember the name of it. No free.
He has an
ads.
endorsement.
So
Yes.
like he had to
Yeah, he's
wear
got-
those glasses in it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's got a deal with a glasses company.
What a jump
he's
by. Wait,
smarter
is that an
than,
NIL, like first year NIL
Yeah,
college
we're
thing?
gonna have
Yeah,
to
he
get to the bottom
probably-
of this.
That might have come through at the U. Yeah, I
That's
think
an
so.
Meanwhile,
amazing
we think he's just like an intellect, likes these glasses and
Yeah,
and
no.
all of that.
I'm gonna
Meanwhile,
say,
he's like
a Gophers booster / sponsor.
Yeah, what do they call it? Dinky Town. They got a little NIL group. Yeah, that probably was in the transition.
And they were
year.
probably very, very quick. Like that's good marketing by them to jump on that before he gets to the big time here.
or he's paying back what they paid him at another time. This is just him.
Oh, just saying thank you for your support.
I own the Brock Favors Glasses Twitter handle or X handle, I believe. Yeah, I signed
Still
up for
have
that.
it?
Just late night one day, just secured that, so I have
That's a
it.
great move.
So I could sell that back to him. He's also going to be on Becoming Wild opening night Brock Faber episode. I haven't seen it, but I think this features his softball catch in the outfield, which was
sure.
quite an exciting moment in the summer.
Social
But,
viral.
and I think I think he's just he's got a great relationship with his sister, and I think everybody's rooting for him to be a Calder candidate. So yeah, check out Faber and his glasses on Becoming Wild after a home opener.
Where do you get? How many points do you think Kirill Kaprizov ends the season with?
I mean, what was he? He was 6th in the league in points per game last year.
I had him way down in like 12th or something.
No, points per game.
Yeah.
Because he only played 67 or whatever it was. I think it's 75 points in 67 games, if I remember right. So points per game, he was top 10 in the league. So I think he gets to the century mark again for the second time in 3 seasons. Just got to keep the guy healthy.
Isn't it cooler if he
so
scores
that was
97?
21. That was 21 in the NHL.
The points per game?
Yep, 1.12.
My bad.
Yeah, so that
I had the
was
numbers
my
right.
other bold prediction that I didn't get to is that he gets up to 1.25, which is 103 points a year if he plays 82. So I think he has a good year, 103 points.
Why don't you put that one in for the Mason Shaw one? Because everybody on Wild on 7th is rooting for Mason
Yep.
Shaw, and we don't believe Mason Shaw is bold. They're the same. So it can't be a bold prediction if you have Mason Shaw in it. That'd be like saying, I think Mason Shaw would run into a burning building to save some kids.
Yeah,
That's
I've
not a
got
bold
problem.
prediction.
I've got no problem taking it out and switching it out.
Yeah,
but
we're at it,
actually.
Kirill.
It actually is a bold prediction in that
If it wasn't him.
Well, there's a couple things at play. Obviously, everything's got to go
his
well in
health.
the rehab.
Let's not forget
right?
that he's had 4 ACLs.
But the Wilds-
you have to be able to play. You can't just go out there.
He's unstoppable.
The roster and salary cap situation as well. Also, there was a huge wrench into it. Right?
Right.
It's not just as easy as soon as he's ready, you sign him to a
Right.
big ticket. So there are some things at play there. The reason I said it's not bold, it's only just because I believe it's absolutely going to happen because I know that kid. You guys know him. Like, he's not going to be denied. I don't think.
No, but again, there's also now health. Let's just say everybody was healthy. Who are they going to take
Right.
out just to put him in?
Right.
I don't think that's going to happen either.
But they did love him so much last year. I mean, he fought his way onto staying on this roster
He had a great season,
last year. Yeah, I mean,
the best Let's Play hockey.
Yep.
I think
was
he's atop
awesome.
the podium.
Yeah, Tiny Tim.
Move over PJ Fleck.
Yeah, they're a top 2. He's top.
I mean, he was screaming at the fans.
Yes.
And a surprise.
That's why Wilder won.
Fans in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Mason Shaw's great.
I think
he becomes our group one. That's all of us wishing him back onto the ice. You pick up Carell at 103.
Yeah.
That's a tasty one. That rounds out your 5. What do you think? Are you doing anything with this green carpet arrival deal?
We're actually going to do our puck preview live from there. Which is the little game.
So who gets the home opener? You use the scrubs for the preseason, and then who are you calling in?
Or are you free? See, here's the problem with Puck Preview Live is you guys can chirp it all you want, but then the second I ask you, you're roped into it. I don't know if you enjoy it or not, but I ask you all the time, you and Kevin Gore.
I kind of feel like you don't enjoy me on there. So tell everybody what
I enjoy it.
Puck Preview Live is and why they should tune in.
So Puck Preview Live, Puck Preview Live is our new.
He knows where the camera is for
it's
radio.
Our new
PPL
in arena little pregame video, right? Just 90 seconds, 2 minutes on the matchup. We did it last year on Instagram Live for all games. It'll continue on Instagram Live on the road, but at home games now at XL, pending they don't cancel us, we'll have Puck Preview Live, kind of set the stage for the night's contest.
It'll be on the Jumbotron?
It will be, and our hair will be chirped all season long, or at least mine.
So you should come up with a bit where that changes like every time.
The hair or the...
something.
The Rooster. So you're focused on the opponent, so you'll be talking about like Matthew Tkachuk's mouth guard and stuff?
Like I'd like to make it where you get a sense of who's in and who's out, the biggest storyline, and then something on the opposition. So if Dean says, this guy's not going, or we don't know what, we want to address that. We want to, if the Wild won 6 in a row, why have they won 6 in a row? Ryan Carter, get his take on that. Power play's been whatever. Why has it been like that? And then we're playing the Florida Panthers. What do you know about them? That sort of thing.
You see what he's doing. So he got out of the minors. He's going to the fancy hotel. He's got a robe in his room. And now he's adding more stuff to his plate because that's what he really feels comfortable
He's a grinder.
with. Yeah, he's a grinder. So when he's got that robe on with a little gold tassel, it doesn't feel right. No. So he's created this other job. Now every game he's got to do Puck Preview Live. He's got to run around with a notebook.
Yeah.
He's going back to where he feels comfortable.
Like he's in his hotel room now in his robe drinking his Nespresso, but he's pouring a couple coffee grounds from the pod into the cup so that he feels gritty.
Yeah, from the gas station.
Yeah.
What is it? What did you say? Nespresso?
Nespresso?
What is that?
That's the George Clooney's coffee.
Yeah, it's the fancy one at the fancy hotels.
I don't drink coffee.
And they have, the little cups. It's like a 1 ounce shot. Yeah,
that's what that thing's for?
He'll be adding more stuff soon. Did you guys have any other, I'm trying to think what.
I thought the Wild would lead the NHL in shorthanded goals this year.
Okay.
Edmonton's led at the last 2. I think they had 16 to the Wild's 12 last year. Wild were second, 12. I just think that they're still probably going to push the pace. And the PK will know if the PK doesn't improve. But another way to look at it is you get 12 shorties. You take, the way I see this, you take 12 off and add that to your percentage, right? And then that's your PK for the year. That gets it up to 90%.
I love how the former player twice is taking stats. It could be, and he's, he had 2% on the faceoffs when you're shorthanded. I'm gonna add the PK percentage. So faceoff guy, a PK guy.
We had a kill in Jersey where we had somewhere around 12 shorties and we gave up maybe 20 goals on the year. And we netted out like 97% on the year, 96% or something like that. And that's the way I look at it. Like, yeah, your PK gave up 20, you scored 12, but your PK is only down 8 goals on the entire year. That's fantastic. That's the way I look at that sometimes.
That's almost unheard of, by the way.
It was. It was the best penalty kill of all time. Then we make it to the finals in 2012, and we lose to the LA Kings in Game 6 because they score 3 power play goals on a 5-minute major. Wah, wah, wah.
Who took the major?
Devils lose the cup. My line mate, Steve Bernier. He ran Scuderi. Soft call.
I think that was the same year that, as an assistant coach, we won the U10A district championship.
Taylor Swift on the bench?
She was not, but it's stuff that's, we'll see how Carter does this year. But White Bear Lake did win the U10A districts around that same time. Not to talk about me, but hey, if you do you're going to be on the green carpet?
Yeah, I was told Puck Preview Live from opening night will be on the green carpet. So I will be there for some of the festivities.
Okay, so I think fans, this is a pretty legit deal. You go down there. It's going to be a few hours before game time, and as I understand it, the players are rolling up in their own vehicles, which is pretty sweet to kind of check out their rides. And then they walk down this long green carpet and kind of like it's an award show. And then you can go back to the bar for a couple hours and get kind of juiced up for the game, So it seems like a nice little kind of bounce back, go over to the rink, see the boys, check out the fashion, and then back down the street.
You remember last year when we had Fleury on and we were trying to get him to tell us about his car, but he wouldn't tell us what kind of car it was?
Yeah, but you know why?
What is it?
Well, he's upgraded this year.
Well, I know. He's upgraded like 3 times since that car.
Yeah, he's big time into his vehicle.
That's what I'm saying. So now you got to come to the green carpet to see
it's revealed.
his whip.
So I shouldn't say what he has now?
No.
Okay.
Do you think
he had a Lambo in Vegas?
That's the one that he didn't want to tell us about last year.
Yeah.
That's
green,
sweet.
which of the color was spot on for the Wild? It was like a green Lambo, or was it
I don't know.
grayish?
I found out he liked vehicles through the PR staff right before I interviewed him the other day for my podcast, and because everybody's got one, and we talked about cars for like 3 minutes, and I felt like it really broke the ice with him. Not that he's not easy to talk to, but like he didn't like talking about himself. Mm-hmm. He'd rather talk about the kids or his cars.
Yeah, so he's different from you in that respect.
I just walked right into that. Skated right into that one. He loves cars. I mean, he would have talked about it for an hour.
Do you think guys will be insecure about rolling in their own rides? Like they're borrowing like Ford Tauruses from people to get dropped off?
When I saw Brock Faber last year get dropped off for his first ever NHL game, it was on the road, I think. Where were we? I pull up to the Signature Airport. I'm getting out. I'm walking, and I see literally like a whatever
Ford Explorer.
Yeah, but like an old one.
It's like every college
four,
kid's car.
It's like 4 kids in it.
Yeah.
And
Good luck,
Faber gets out, and his hockey. He got to get his hockey bag out of the trunk, like he just signed. But his buddies dropped him off. Like I would imagine it's his college roommates. Like I thought it was so cool, but so like under the radar.
That's
like
so great.
Like he didn't Uber. Like literally, it was like a caravan of dudes dropping him off. I'm sure there's like McDonald's wrappers in the back seat and.
All the more reason to like Brock
Yeah,
Faber.
it's amazing.
Hey, so you guys we got an analyst and a play-by-play guy. So this deal with Fleury on the shootout where he trips 2 players. Now they're in the snot bubble, they're in the blue paint, but it really, as I was watching it, I'm like, I don't know how this works. Like, can a goalie swing a stick at a guy that's like 5 feet in front of the net? Like, is there a situation where you can get a penalty or not? Because if you can't get a penalty, I mean,
the wheels are spinning for Kinger now.
You could do anything. You could poke check and actually make contact, and Fleury would be the first one to find the loophole. Do you know how that works? I mean,
you remember when Marian Gaborik got flipped? Who was the goaltender that came flying out?
Way out.
Like it was.
I just saw that highlight recently.
Basically, the hash marks.
Yeah.
Maybe even above.
And he long bodied, and Gaborik just
360.
literally over him. Yeah.
Yeah. If that's not a trip, you can do anything.
You can do anything.
But do you know the rule that if you are last man back and you commit a penalty with an open net behind it, auto goal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if goalie comes out, takes a penalty there to an open net. So let's just say you sidestep him, then he trips you. That's auto goal. So that's rare that a goalie's going to come out that far. I've seen plenty of times where, goalie be playing their position, down in their, stance, and then the puck changes sides, and like Fleury will swing around and fling his stick all the way out,
or
slide it all the way out so that the guy can't wrap it on the backside, catch the skates, trip it, and get 2 minutes. But I've never seen one on a breakaway.
Can we just give for a second the kid Bedard some credit because he fumbles the puck, right? He's trying a million moves, he fumbles it. He was trying to go between the legs from just above the goal line.
Yeah,
which is. No, it didn't work out, and he's going to be an internet meme now for a minute because Fleury stops it, poke checks, and trips the kid. But the fact he had the presence of mind to go, I'm losing this thing. What do I do? Oh, let me just try and go highlight reel. At age 18, man, it's...
On Fleury.
On Fleury.
Seems like the players were... It sounds like you cannot touch the guy while you're getting a penalty. When I was looking at the box score, it was just... every single time. It was like if you trade paint with Connor Bedard, you're going to the box.
Get ready for that this year because I just seen it the other night. It's going to be absurd at times, I would think. The league's going to try and protect him. Players are going to lose it. I mean, the wry smile Dean Evison had the other night in Chicago in that preseason game where there are 2 calls, like sort of phantomish. Bedard's the closest player nearby. It's going to just be pull your hair out type moments.
Well, Dean's not going to pull his hair out. His hair
can't.
My favorite part of Fleury taking those guys down by the skates was the cordial tap on the shin pads after.
Yeah. Both of them.
Nice try. Good job, kid. Yeah.
They were in his blue paint. When I went back and watched, they were both right in there with him. But I don't know. I think there's a loophole in the rule book. I think we can do anything. We can do smoke screens. We can throw Chinese jacks down. It's like Spy Hunter. I think you can do.
I was just gonna say,
you can do whatever. Oil slick.
Oil out the back.
Oil slick. I mean, until they change it. Maybe at the summer meetings.
Great
in Boca
theme song
Raton.
for a video game, by the way.
Yeah, it was like dun 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 dun. Yeah, Spy Hunter.
Yeah.
So let's go Central Division real quick. I feel like we're getting a little long, but where do you guys think the Wild finish in the Central? Like, you've got Dallas and Colorado for sure, right? Like they're top tier. Everybody needs to stay healthy. I think St. Louis improves. Nashville, I've got no clue.
I think Nashville's way better because I believe in Andrew Brunette.
But they traded so many of. They're in the situation that the Wild were in a couple years ago, like Dean Evison's first year, where they got rid of a bunch of stuff, and then it's like, opportunities out there, guys. Earn it, and it's yours. I think
Look
that's
how
where
hard they
Nashville
played last year down the stretch with a skeleton lineup, an AHL lineup. They almost snuck in.
Yeah, but now they don't have Tanner Janot, they don't have Johansson, they don't have Duchesne, they don't have Ekholm. They've just lost a lot of. They lost their core. Their entire core is gone.
Yeah.
Other than Philip Forsberg.
It's a good point.
Granlund is gone. Like I'm sure there's more too. I think Nino was there. Nino's gone. But Nashville's a wild card. But give me what you think the Central looks like.
I think Dallas and Colorado are at the top. I think Dallas I like a little bit more going into the season than the Avs. So I'd say I would think Dallas probably wins the division. I think Colorado's 2. I'm not a huge fan of St. Louis. I did say I think Nashville will be improved. We think Arizona will be improved. Chicago can't be any worse. I think it's going to be a hard division. I really do. I think it's harder than last year.
I do think so too. I think that there were some
Winnipeg. I forgot Winnipeg. Yeah. I don't know what to think of them. They could be a shell by the trade deadline. If
that's what I think is going to happen.
Success,
up there. Yeah. The division is harder. There were games last year where you expected to win. We have to win this game. This club is not good enough.
Right.
I don't think that there are any of those games this year now. Maybe Chicago, maybe. Right, Arizona's. I think last year gained some equity. They're better.
Yeah,
they're no longer all right. Let's go work on our tan a little bit and take 2 points out of the desert and then on to the next game. Yeah. That's what it was.
It's the Pacific Division where you have your gotta win them.
Yeah,
the San Jose's, the Anaheims, like those become your 4 points. 6 points, 8 points, however many times you're playing them. You have to win those games.
Central's a dogfight. Yeah. We have to win out here. Yeah. How about you, Kinger? What are you thinking? So that you put the Wild in third, Joe?
Well, I had in my bold predictions they're going to take a wild card spot.
So then
beat Edmonton round 1, but I guess I didn't really think that far down the division when I said that.
So as well thought out as those bold predictions were,
it sounded really good at the time.
There's a hole in it, but I think St. Louis is going to be good.
Okay.
St. Louis's D was beat up last year. They've got a lot of their D core coming back. Their forwards were immature, I think, and they've went out instead of like a rebuild. This is like a legit retool where they just got veteran guys that were kind of on the outside looking in, and wherever organization they were in, pulled them in and said, "Hey, buddy, this is your chance. Come play now."
Kevin Hayes would be
Kevin Hayes,
interesting pickup. Like, is he a 70-point guy or is he? So yeah, I'm with you there. And last year, I think for the Blues is tough when like O'Reilly gets moved.
Tarasenko.
That's like those are culture shock to the system for an organization. Now Braden Schen's your new captain. I love his game. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
I think St. Louis and Minnesota are pretty close to even for most of the year.
It's going to be goaltending. Like, do you get Jordan Binnington that's a Stanley Cup winning goaltender, or do you get meltdown, 4 goals against, wants to fight everybody Binnington?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about you, Kinger?
I got us winning it. I think all these guys signed their deals. The core is like everyone just feels safe. I think, and I think you had 2 years ago was this magical season that felt like we were pulling rabbits out of a hat, and then last year we had this regression to the mean, and now all these guys are locked in. Whether it's Zuki, Kirill, just Hartman, Gus, Eck, Boldy. I mean, and there looks to be 4 lines. I think this is the year we break through. I think Colorado and Dallas it's those 3 teams with us on top. I think what we did to Dallas on Saturday in our dress rehearsal was deliberate to let them know we're coming. And I do think the Chicago rivalry is back. As bad as they're going to be, first of all, if you want to get your prediction, you can't play Ryan Hartman against Chicago because he's from there. He will. There's no way in hell he won't get into trouble playing the Blackhawks, even if it's a meaningless game, whether it's just being in the paper or everybody there or it's his history. But I just think that when I was watching that game on Saturday, it's like the LC Cord, Willie Plett, like there's going to be hate again for Chicago, even if they don't get very far this year. And I think that's really good for the Central. But yeah, I got the Wild winning it, and Dallas and Colorado being the other 2 playoff teams.
I wish the Wild had maybe $2 million to play with. That'd be one of my bold predictions. Was Patrick Kane wears a Wild sweater this year?
I could completely see that with Billy, and absolutely
getting it done. But there's I don't even know if there's enough. That would be great. He's sitting there, he looks good on the videos. You see the social hype vids.
Yeah, he's training and his hips better.
and it just makes you oh man, we gotta get him.
Could you imagine?
No.
Oof.
But maybe Fleury can talk him into it.
Who knows? That is a very Billy Guerin move.
What about tapes? What's he gonna do?
I don't know.
He seems to have some more stuff going on.
Plus, there's less hype vids. Right? I need one of those to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Patty Kane and the Wild would be awesome.
I think anything else? Any other random thoughts as we?
What is your podcast? Say your podcast so people can listen.
One-on-one with Joe O'Donnell. There you go. And you better put in the with Joe O'Donnell because it's not big enough yet.
Wild Joe Radio.
One-on-one. It's non-video, which is perfect for a guy like me. Just audio.
Yeah, I think you look good, man.
Oh, thanks.
All right, well, that's a wrap.
We're here till it's here.
Nice. What a golden voice. Yeah. Thank you.
See, I'm a quick learner. Thanks, guys.
Well done.
It was really fun.